Welcome to today's session. Today we are going to talk about how to be a transformational leader. You know, the word transformation means to change. To transform something is to change it for the better. Are you a transformational leader? A transformational leader should always ask these three most dynamic questions. Number one, what do I need my team to do? What is it that I want my team to do functionally? The second question, what do they need to be so that they can do what I need them to do? An example, if I want my employees to execute in a certain way on a certain project, what do they need to be? They need to be committed, they need to be informed, they need to be flexible, they need to have personal skills. What do they need to be so that they can do what we need them to do? And the third question, of course, is how do I get them there? How do I take them there to the level of being so that they can execute on the doing? And how we get them there, of course, is the most important question of all. It does not happen naturally. It does not happen automatically. It happens cumulatively. We teach them one thing today, one thing tomorrow, and then it adds up. Eventually, they become informed, committed, enlightened, or flexible to do what it is we want them to do. Here is a discovery I made. You cannot take an average person and make them great. Now, you can take an average person and make them better. Of course, we can take average people on our team and make them better, and we should be absolutely committed to do exactly that. Because no transformational leader would ever run away from this duty of taking every person in his or her team and helping them to become better. But here is one thing that scares me the most. A great person can come down to the level of average so quickly. Think about it in your own life. If once upon a time you were an excellent tennis player, or once upon a time you were an excellent pianist, and all of a sudden you stopped practicing and you stopped learning and you stopped reviewing, what happens? You went from being really, really good to being at best average. And so a transformational leader understands that he or she must know their people well and must give them whatever ingredients necessary through learning and development so that they can remain excellent at what they do, so that they can contribute measurably, effectively, and consistently to the common good. Now, as a leader, each of us has 4 types of capital. When I use the word capital, people usually think I'm talking about financial capital. Well, there are other forms of capital as well that you must understand as a transformational leader. After financial capital, the second type of capital you have is called educational capital. Just what we are doing right now. Today we are expanding, we are investing, we are fertilizing our educational capital. I have found that some people in our life walk around asking this question: can I do it? You give them a project, they'll ask, can I do it? They're not sure if they could do it. Some people, though, given the educational capital necessary, add one word in front of that sentence. Instead of saying, can I do it? They ask, how can I do it? The how we get through consistent training and development. We developed this how the same way we developed the why, by really focusing on it, by making it a primary responsibility in our life. So the first one is financial capital. The second one is educational capital. Here is the third form of capital that transformational leaders always have. It's called reputational capital. You are no different than me in this way. If you believe in someone, what happens? You listen to them, right? You say, this individual has credibility. I know from experience that this person can get the job done. And when I listen to this person's suggestions and advice, wisdom and skills, I too can make something come off in my life with a degree of excellence, right? Reputational capital. Some people will say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or she just, talks too much but doesn't back up what she says with facts. So, reputational capital is how other people think of us. And the last kind of capital that all of us should have, perhaps the most important one, is called relational capital. A transformational leader has relational capital. Now, that simply means building relationships with everyone that you have in your life. All the contacts we have, external customers or internal customers, like our employees, our team members, other people and other departments with whom we work. So, relational capital simply means, how do I build excellent relationship? So, when I need these people or when they need me, we can work hand in hand and side by side to make really good things happen. Let me tell you a little secret. The way I develop my relational capital is to have what I call the list of 100. Now, this is a figure of speech. You could have a list of 200 or a list of 10. It doesn't matter. It's your business, but concept is the same. I have a list of 100 people and I have them in alphabetical order on an Excel sheet. And then next to those names, I have columns, one for each month of the year. I look at these names and I must have a check mark next to each one of them, suggesting to me that I made some contact with this person. I have sent them a book, or I have called them, or I have sent them a message, or we have been in a meeting together. Some form of contact creates relational capital. It's the byproduct of an investment of effort and time. So, transformational leaders understand that it is through other people that we can make good things happen. In every relationship in life, you must begin at the very foundational level with something called trust. You have to trust people, and you have to ensure that people trust you. If I don't trust you, I'll not listen to the rest of your ideas that you have. So, transformational leaders understand that it is through other people that we can make good things happen. You see, in every relationship in life, you must begin at a very foundational level with something called trust. It is hard to build relationship with people unless you trust them. If I don't trust you, I will not listen to the rest of the ideas that you have. It is difficult to be a transformational leader if those whom you choose to influence don't trust you. And trust does not happen very quickly. You cannot rush. It happens slowly. Trust is the foundation, and then it moves up to the next level, which is called reason. You must develop the kind of mindset through which and by which we reason our conclusions. In other words, we use logic, we develop critical thinking skills. You know what? I have discovered life does not give us what we need. Many people in our world believe that life will give us what we need. I mean, I know people who will just go to their boss and they'll say, "Look, boss, I need more money because my expenses went up." Does that make sense to you? Of course not. Companies are not created just to pay you more money. That's a good way to go bankrupt. Life does not give us what we need. Life gives us what we deserve. And of course, I don't mean that someone with a certain sickness or illness deserves to get that. Of course, I'm not talking about that. I am talking about in the professional context. At work, in business, life does not give us what we need. It gives us what we deserve. So, if I want to get more, I must deserve more. And the question is, how do I deserve more? And the answer is obvious. The way to deserve more is to render greater value. The more valuable I am to my team, the more valuable I am to my organization, the more valuable I am, the more I deserve. The more I deserve, the more I get. Question for a transformational leader is, how do I help my team members to deserve more? You help your team members deserve more by being more valuable, by educating them. Educational capital, remember? By having a good relationship with them so that they listen to you and you listen to them. They appreciate you. So what happens to your reputational capital? Goes way up high, and then you can achieve more and more with those same people in the future. So life does not give us what we need. Life gives us what we deserve. To deserve more, we have to be more valuable. Question: how do we become more valuable? Answer: our value is measured by the size of problem we are capable of solving. You solve bigger problems, you make more measurable contributions to the organization, you become more important. You become more important, you deserve more. You deserve more, you get more. You're getting the idea. So trust, reason, and then focus. You know, in life, there are two pains that you and I will suffer from. One is called the pain of discipline. Focusing on yourself, your activities, your mindset, your learning, because this requires discipline. I will get the job done. I will acquire the necessary learning. I will learn to do things in a way that is consistent with my organization, with its objective, its values, its mission. Or we suffer from the pain of regret. Most people you know, and most people I know, suffer from the pain of regret. I wish I could have. I wish I had done such and such thing. And so discipline is a wonderful thing. Trust, reason, focus. And then of course, the next one is value. Natural byproduct of all this is greater value. And then that leads us to success. A transformational leader would want every person on their team to be successful, because the collective measurement of the team then is that everybody is happy. And if everybody is happy, everybody is going to feel the highest level, which is called significance. You feel better about you when you contribute significantly to your organization. You feel better at the end of the day. When you have brought your learning and your mindset to solve a problem or to contribute to the group in a way that really brings better and more effective results. And so significance is what all of us should be aiming and focused on now. You see, some people live the life at the task level. You know, the people who get up in the morning, they go to work, they will do all the things that they have to do, all the things we ask them to do, but then that's it. We call them transactional people. They do transactions and they do them well, but they don't connect them in a way that creates transformation. Some people live at a higher level called the goal level. They set goals. They make them specific. They put them in writing. They give them timelines and they correct the paths as they follow these goals. But the happiest and the most significant people I have ever met in my life are the ones who live at the purpose level, the hardest one of all. Your purpose may be different than mine, but a transformational leader would always emphasize the purpose of the organization, the purpose of the project, the purpose of the mission, the purpose of the plan that we are working on. And when people begin to understand the purpose, they are much more likely to invest themselves in a deeper and a wider and a more lasting way. The key action for transformational leader is just one word: influence. A transformational leader knows how to influence people. So, if you want to influence people, you have to understand them. Because if I understand you, I understand what you want. I understand what you don't want. I understand why you have made that decision. I understand why you speak the way you speak, why you think about the issue the way you do. And then I can influence the process in a much deeper and more significant way. Transformational leaders understand that the results we experience, whether in life, our department, team, or business, are entirely driven by the behaviors we exhibit. So, let me make a statement. You may not like the statement, but think it through. What you have in your life, this point in your life, is pretty much what you deserve to have at this point in your life. How do I know that? Because how did you get there? You got to the point in your life based on the behavior that you displayed in your life. Let's take a person who is financially broke. How did they get to be financially broke? They did things, they acted in a way that caused them to be financially broke. So your behaviors lead to your results. Now, some managers and leaders believe that if I can only correct your behaviors, if I can show you how your behavior could be improved, that will have better results. Today, I want to take us to a deeper level. I want to suggest to you that transformation begins with beliefs. You behave the way you behave because of what you believe. If you believe this opportunity can measurably help in your life, you lose yourself in it. Transformation begins with the belief system in the mind, and then that changes behaviors. What transformational leaders really do is help others become all they can become. They get to know their teams because when I know you, then I can show you. And when I can show you, then I can grow you. I can help you to grow. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who opened a small store at the corner of two busy streets. The shop was modest and his products were top quality, his prices were fair, and his service was exceptional. People not only liked shopping there, they also liked that person. So they began to tell their neighbors and their friends about the store. Well, of course, you know what happened next? He expanded the store. You know what happened next? He opened up more stores. And before you know it, he had lots of stores all across the country. One day, this man was taken ill to the hospital, and he knew that he was going to die. He had 3 adult children. and he wanted one of his 3 children to become the president of this company. But he didn't know which one is the best person to become the president. So what he did, he gave some money to all the 3 children. And he said, I want you to go downtown today and spend this money any way that you want. But when you come back here tonight in this hospital room, however you spent your money and whatever you have spent it on must fill this room from corner to corner. It must fill this room. So, of course, they were excited to become president of this big and profitable company. They all went. They all spent their money and they all came back in the evening. And the father said to the first person, how have you spent your money? So the person said, Dad, I went to a friend of mine who has a big farm, and in his big farm, he has lots of bales of hay. So he brought 2 bales of hay that he bought with his money, and he tore it apart and he threw the hay up in the sky. And for just a fleeting moment, the room was filled with hay. But you know what happens to hay? It settles down on the floor. And the father said, no. He asked the second person, what have you done? So the second one said, I went down to a store that was selling pillows. So the second person brought a pillow filled with feathers, tore it open, threw it up in the sky, and for the moment the room was full. But feather settled down the ground like the haze down the floor. And the father said, no. What have you done with your money? He asked the third person. He said, I went down to the store, bought 2 things with the money that you gave. A candle and a matchbox. Struck a match, lit the candle, and the room was filled. Not with hay, not with feathers, but with light. What does a transformational leader do? He or she lights the path for success. Transformational leaders change minds, not just behaviors. They inspire and grow people. They solve problems. They embrace meaningful change. They communicate and reinforce the company's vision and mission. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.